Hello and welcome to Live and Let's Discuss. I'm Jeremy,
I'm Noah.
and we're welcome to the Rodger Moore era of Bond. A very silly era and a very different one from what we've just seen. Kind
Yeah.
of. Diamonds Are Forever is pretty terrible. So, it honestly, if I had watched them in the correct order, it would have felt it would have probably felt more right. But I went and saw No Time to Die in between
Hmm.
watching Diamonds Are Forever and Live and Let Die. And so it was like whiplash. Each one of
Yeah.
these movies, just whiplash.
Yeah.
Um,
But you know why it's great to finally have arrived in the Rodger Moore era?
Aside
Because
from our podcast being named after Live and Let Die.
exactly.
Yeah. Because I really enjoy the Live and Let Die novel.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorite novels of the
Mm.
Fleming stuff. So this is one of the bigger gaps in between book and movie because Live and Let Die, the novel came out in the early 50s, whereas Live and Let Die, the movie is the early 70s.
Yeah. So plus minus 20 years.
Yeah, and they're very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, this is a weird one because similar to Diamonds, it still takes a lot of elements from the book,
Mhm.
but does them a lot differently.
Yes, that's something I noticed. How does Live and Let Die open the
The
book?
book or
Yeah.
the book, it already opens with Bond arriving in New York.
Yeah,
and
that's
he and he meets Felix Leiter, and then we get a little flashback to the scene with M in his office,
right.
who and then he just explains the mission to Bond, and then we go back to the correct point in time.
Which is a piracy thing. It's about like gold
Yeah,
coins.
exactly, because Mr. Big, the big bad guy of the novel, who is working for Smersh, the Russian terror organization, he found out about the treasures of Bloody Morgan, the pirate, and he's smuggling out all these gold coins.
Mhm.
And Bond has to stop him.
Yeah, because it's devaluing the British currency.
Mhm.
Little far fetched, but like,
Pretty fantastical.
yeah, but it feels real. Whereas in the movie, Mr. Big, also known as oh gosh, was
Dr. Kananga, which is
yeah,
a thing because they changed the bad guy pretty heavily.
hmm is sometimes he's a gangster, but he's also like this ruler of this island, and
Saint Monique, they call
yeah,
it, because they took the voodoo element from the book,
mhm.
but they didn't want to say all black people believe in this, so they made their own little country,
Yes,
which they would do later on in License to Kill.
yeah, they've done it a few times, but
Mhm.
it's a heroin operation,
Mhm.
and he's going to flood the American market with free heroin for a while until all of the other crime families that supply heroin can't can't afford to supply it anymore because it's free. And then he's going to charge a ton of money for it and have
Yeah.
like a crime empire, as in his words, equivalent to the phone company,
Mm.
which is flipping ridiculous. But I should talk about our Bond villain is played by Lafayette Coda,
Mhm.
an
The
actor,
Great One.
a great one. He's one of two Roger Moore era villains that are I think are pretty iconic.
Hmm. Who's
Uh,
the other one? I can guess.
it's in our next one.
Scaramanga.
Scaramanga. Of course, I can't say that Christopher Lee is not iconic.
Yeah.
Just about, he was in those terrible Hobbit movies, and he still was wonderful
Hmm.
with his corn cob teeth.
Oh man, but the villain, I think we can talk about the biggest differences right away
Mhm,
between book and movie. So in the movie, he's Dr. Kananga. He's the ruler of this island,
mhm.
and at the same time, he has like a face mask, and he's basically living a double life as
Yeah.
Mr. Big, this criminal gangster boss.
Can we just talk about the mask?
Yeah. Okay.
It clearly looks like a mask.
Yes.
That's something I noticed on rewatch, and I'm like, is he a burn victim? Like, why is this man wearing a mask? It's like, oh, it's because it's Kananga.
Yeah. The special effects is also something we can talk about here. But with the book, and I'm glad I reread it because in the book it's just Mr. Big. He's
Mhm.
just the crime boss working for Smersh. We also get his full name in the book, which I have to look up right now because it's ridiculous. Mr. Big stands for Buonaparte Ignace Gallia.
Yes, and he wasn't he an American originally?
I
And
think they say he's part French.
he's part French. That would make sense because he's from like the voodoo culture of like the Caribbean.
Yep.
But he was indoctrinated into Smash at a younger age
Mhm.
and is one of their better agents.
Yep.
And the whole thing with Bond and Smash at this point is he feels he's been wronged by Smash personally after Casino Royale.
Right, because the book also talks about, the scar on his hand after one of the Smersh guys, attacked him with a knife. What he
Yeah,
did.
well, as he was, yeah, they carved him up. They
Mhm.
had they put the mark on the back of his hand, and he had to have plastic surgery to get it removed. So he in these early Bond books, he's kind of he takes it like dealing with Smash personally.
Yeah, which we can also mention. He does talk about, how much he hates Smash in the book, but
Mhm.
it's not as direct of a sequel to Casino Royale. Like in comparison to the movie version and then Quantum of Solace. Like
Yes,
there is no mention of Vesper Lind in Live and Let Die, for example.
it's a standalone novel,
Hmm. True.
pretty much. It wouldn't be till we got to From Russia with Love that they would all connect
In bigger ways. Yeah.
in bigger ways. Yeah. Um, but can we talk about how Bond just walks into Harlem?
Can we first start with the introduction to Bond?
Yeah,
Okay, first the credit sequence, the pre-title sequence.
a bunch
We
of people
get,
get killed.
yeah, in interesting ways, and then the
Yes.
last one sadly sucks because they kill a guy with a snake. Snake is supposed to bite him, but we can clearly see it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was still stuck on the funeral one.
that's the
But
best one.
yeah, it's the best one because it ties so perfectly. People just start dancing in the street.
Yeah, that's good. And then we get our first look at Rodger Moore as the new James Bond. And it's perfect because he's just lying in bed with like an attractive woman.
Yeah. From his Italian job he just did.
Yeah. So I assume she's another agent, I guess. And then
She doesn't
one of
act like an agent though.
yeah, but and then we get a weird bit of comedy with M, who shows up in James Bond's house,
Yeah,
which
this is the only time I can think of until we get to the Craig era where they're in Bond's flat.
we see it in Doctor No, because Sylvia Trench shows up in his.
That's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like this apartment building, and we didn't see much of it. But in this, it looks
Looks like
well,
looks like a house.
yeah. But what always sticks in my mind is his kitchen, which looks like Grandma's kitchen.
It looks 70s. You wouldn't
Yeah,
That was state of the art for the 70s. But
Mhm,
I totally agree. I had grandparents that had a kitchen like that because they got their house in the 70s.
mhm.
Like the wood paneling, the freaking kitchen appliances
Yeah,
of very 70s. Uh,
yeah,
and that's something we need to talk about with the Moore era. We've talked about it a little before. These are the ones that dated the most. Because things in the 70s were just ugly. Like a lot
true.
of fashion was terrible. And we start to see this in this movie. This is something I noticed on rewatch. Bond changes outfits like 12 times.
Yeah.
Maybe an exaggeration. It might have been 8. But he's changing outfits between scenes and it doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
It's all terrible 70s fashion.
Except the last one, like his black suit with, the
Yeah,
holster. That's an
that's
iconic outfit. That's fine.
yeah. That's the only one I remembered in this one, to be honest.
Mhm.
Because I always bring up the Spy Who Loved Me tux, which is
Mm.
super bad. Um, but yeah, all of his suits, they're super like the flare pants, and I get the flared pants, the bell bottoms are a thing again, but like his suits, they're so tasteless. They're so flashy for a secret agent.
Mhm. I mean, we watched Diamonds Are Forever recently, so
Yeah, that
pretty
was bad
much the same style.
too. Yeah, the 70s fashion is just so bad. And like it just takes away from Bond being like a secret agent. It's
Mhm.
too loud. But yeah, he Bond Bond goes to Harlem, which in the book is the most racist. Like it was so shockingly racist.
I don't
That's
know.
that's
No.
some it is. I get this dialogue at the time, but for someone who's not used to just speaking like that, it was jarring.
Yeah, because Fleming gives like one excerpt of like how the black people talk because one of the characters is like, "Hey Bond, just listen to them talk, get a feel for their lifestyle and whatever."
Mhm.
And yeah, and then Fleming tries to write like, I don't know, like a black person would talk there.
Ebonics, yeah.
Mhm.
That was be the terminology of the time, the ebonics. The
Mhm.
slang of the 50s, which is different than the slang of the 70s. Which they actually, it looks like they filmed in New York,
Oh yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure they did.
which is so 70s to do.
Mhm.
They would not do that now. It'd be too expensive. It wouldn't be worth it. But yeah, Bond follows them into Harlem in both. He does it in the book with Felix, right?
Yeah, because in the book, it's for the first half, it's almost like a buddy cop movie in a way because we get a lot of Felix and Bond interactions and
Yeah.
they are in it together. But
Which
in the
this is
movie, obviously, mostly Bond.
something I want to point out because the only other book before this is Casino Royale with Fleming, and it's made out to believe that Bond had a bunch of adventures with Felix. And
In Live and Let Die, the book.
yes,
Oh, that's true. I remember. Yeah,
and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" This is the second one,
it's weird.
and
Maybe they had a lot of adventures in between that we
I
never get to
guess,
see.
but yeah, they're really good friends. They go to this nightclub.
Mhm.
Is this when Bond gets captured? I'm trying to remember the
Oh
book.
yeah, he gets captured early on, which is
Yes.
also in the movie twice.
Yeah, Bond gets captured all the time in this movie.
Yeah.
To the point where he escapes and then gets captured the next scene. It gets so ridiculous.
Hmm.
But in the movie, he gets stuck in a booth that flips around and he's immediately captured. And we get introduced to both Solitaire and Teehee.
Yep.
which we don't
Great
even know
henchman.
why he's called Teehee in the movie.
I mean, he does laugh a lot, but not like
Not
it's
not
described in the book.
that's so in the book he has a really creepy high pitched laugh, and does he have the claw arm in the book?
No, no, that's
Oh,
just made up for the movie.
I didn't think so because that reminded me of Doctor No's claw arms from the book,
Mhm.
which is really weird. But Teehee in the movie bends the Walther PPK, just bends the barrel over with his claw
Yeah,
arm, and then Bond's just he hands it back to Bond, and Bond just throws it in the trash.
yeah.
It's the most Roger Moore thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Um, but in the book, we gotta talk about the torture scene.
Okay.
Where Bond is strapped to a chair and Teehee grabs his pinky finger on his left hand and bends it back until it's flush with the back of his hand and breaks it.
Yeah, which they talk about in the movie, in the later scene.
Hmm. Yeah, because they threatened to cut off his finger
Mhm.
with Teehee's claw arm,
Yeah.
which apparently is a Swiss Army knife, but like I don't know. It's dumb.
I don't know. I mean, it looks dumb, but it's kind of awesome at the same time.
Yeah, like with a lot of this movie, there's a lot of dumb things in here.
Mhm.
So with the book, like half of it, almost over half of it, I think, is in New York.
Oh yeah, most of it, and then it goes to Jamaica.
It goes to Jamaica, which the movie is barely, it's like maybe half an hour of this 2 hour movie is in New York, and they go to do they go directly to his island? They do.
Might be.
Or they
They
go to
go to New Orleans at
well,
one
yeah, they
point.
go to New Orleans, but like they end up going to his island because that's when we meet Bond girl number two. Oh, we should talk about Solitaire and how Bond pulls the Solitaire reads tarot cards in the movie.
Which
Which
have like little 007 symbols on the back of them.
yes, they do. So dumb.
To be
Uh,
fair, most people wouldn't notice this.
yeah, no, it's not like the 007 camera in Moonraker.
Hmm.
Um, but like in the book, it's Mr. Big thinks that Solitaire is like psychic.
Yeah,
We get Solitaire's backstory of how she was like they thought everyone thought she was a witch. They kind of shunned her, and he like protected her and like adopted her. But he's also like she's going to be my wife to make me more powerful
yeah.
because he's really into the voodoo
Hmm.
in the book.
True. Also in the movie, in a way, but more so in the book, where he uses it like as a tool.
Yes,
Oh, we also, since we're talking about Solitaire, we should mention in the book her real name is Simone Luttrell,
yes,
and she gets called Solitaire because she doesn't want to spend time with men.
uh-huh.
Again, which features into the people thinking she's a witch and stuff. And I
Yes.
think that was maybe the inspiration for this one weird plot point in this movie.
Oh yeah. So in the movie, according to everyone, in Mr. Big's circle, um, Solitaire can't have sex with men because she won't. If she's not a virgin, she won't be able to read the cards. Which the card reading's so bizarre in the movie because in the book it's so clear that that's just Mr. Big's thought process is like that's got to be it. The cards have to be like that. That's what makes sense. Like that's like his religion basically.
Mhm.
In the movie, it just straight up predicts actual plot points,
Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense.
I know. This is James Bond meeting the supernatural.
It's so weird. And this is the only one that really does that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so.
we can talk about the ending and the last shot of the movie later on.
Yes, exactly what comes to mind. But something I wanted to bring up that's actually I was so happy was in the movie, although it's not done quite the same, is
Mhm.
the radio system with Whisper
Oh yeah, true.
with his terrible voice because he had like some sort of throat thing happen to him.
Oh yeah, I think in the book they say his throat got cut at one point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, but he survived. It didn't hit his jugular.
mhm.
So yeah, he's like their radio. He's their main communications guy because that's all he does in the book. Whereas in
Mhm.
the movie, he's a henchman that can literally pick up Bond.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, I will say this: this movie has a great cast of villains with
yes,
like Teehee, Whisper, and Dr. Kananga, of course, and of course Baron Samedi,
insanity. Yeah, who is the big voodoo guy?
who should have had more of a role.
Yeah, he has barely anything to do until the end.
Yeah.
But oh lord, losing my train of thought. So the whole thing is Bond takes. I can't remember when he snags Solitaire in the book.
It's early on. She calls in the book. She calls him and is like, "I have an opportunity to escape, but you have to take me with you." And Bond is going on a train anyway, so they are on a train for a portion of the book, trying
Mhm.
to, escape Mr. Big's men who try to kill them
Yeah,
until they arrive somewhere else and meet Felix, and then Felix meets a shark.
isn't that in Florida though?
I think that was Florida.
Yeah, I think they end up going to Florida in this instead of New Orleans. But we're getting ahead of ourselves in the movie. So the movie ends up going to either Jamaica or the island, and Bond meets up with who's supposedly a CIA agent,
Oh yeah, Rosie.
Rosie, who he tries to throw the moves on. She's like, "I need to go be in the other bedroom." Well, first of all, they try to kill Bond with the snake that Bond uses a flamethrower
And his cigar.
and with his cigar and an aerosol can and kills the most rubber of snakes.
Yeah, a lot of rubber snakes.
So many rubber snakes. Which is good because no animals were harmed,
As far as we know.
as far as we know.
We can talk about harm done to animals when we talk about Never Say Never Again.
That's a long time from now.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so Bond convinces her to take him to. I keep wanting to call him Catalina, the Backwoods. Oh God, what is his name?
Kananga?
Kananga. I'm
Yefet
sorry,
Kodo?
Lafayette Coda's like place of operation,
Mhm.
and Bond bangs her, and then she runs away and she gets killed with like a dart gun, or it could be a gun in like a dummy.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's a cool looking thing, the
Hmm.
dummy.
Yeah, they're a bunch of voodoo dummies
Mhm.
to ward off people, and some of them have little cameras in them, and
Oh yeah,
some
in the eyes, and
guns.
they come out.
Yeah, but I will say we skipped over Quarrel Junior.
Yes, a very nice connection. Because obviously, the books Live and Let Die was the second book, and Doctor No was number 6.
Yes.
And obviously, Quarrel in the books gets introduced in Live and Let Die. He helps out Bond, and
Mhm.
then he returns in Doctor No, and then he dies in Doctor No,
Yes, but
which
since
they also did in the movie. But obviously, since they switched books around, now we get Quarrel Junior instead.
which kind of doesn't work.
Yeah, again, Bond and like chronology and like the timeline, it's all weird.
It's a
Like
little,
nothing works.
a little wonky. That would have meant that Quarrel. I mean, Quarrel could have just looked really good for his age. You know.
Mhm.
So I can kind of screw up my face and believe that.
Yeah, and I mean Quarrel Jr., nice enough character. I mean, he
Yeah,
hasn't he doesn't have a lot to do, but
yeah. But we have to get the whole Bond glider scene. How he
okay.
gets into the complex is he uses a glider. He he glides around and he kicks a dude off a cliff.
Yep.
Um, and then
We are
he
already at the end. You know what we skipped?
hmm.
The very important 20-minute long boat chase.
No, the glider happens before.
Does it happen before? Okay, then I'm wrong.
Yes. Yeah, no, he takes the raft in at the end.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So he sneaks into the base of operations and he runs into Solitaire
Hmm.
and he convinces Solitaire to have sex with him because he has all of the lover tarot cards.
Yes.
And he tosses him down. It's the most Rodger Moore thing I've ever seen.
Yep. I mean, it's fun in a way, but on the other hand, you have to think, okay, it is kind of creepy
It,
because they explicitly say she's a virgin.
yes, it's like nearly. It's so improbable that he would find that many of the same cards that quickly.
He went into a tarot card shop. We saw it.
Oh,
He
that's
probably said, give me 50 of these cards.
God, it's so bad. And then he bangs her, and then she's like, "I can't read the cards anymore." Well,
Hmm.
can we bang again? And the Rodger Moore says, "Well, we shouldn't leave half cocked."
He also looked very surprised when she said it. He was like, yeah,
God, which we haven't talked a whole lot about all of Rodger Moore's one-liners
yeah.
and
Because
his.
obviously he's not Sean Connery. And they
Mhm,
don't, I mean, we already saw it in Diamonds. They try to make it more fun,
mhm.
which didn't work really in Diamonds because Connery was angry and pissed and didn't care.
Yeah.
But it's fun with Roger.
Oh, definitely. But anyway, let's get in. So they escape with Solitaire. They find the heroin,
Hmm.
the poppy seeds, the poppies, and then they get attacked the helicopter. They escape um on a bus.
On a really big bus.
Yes, like a double decker bus,
Hmm.
which is a fun little chase, but it pales in comparison to the boat chase.
Yeah.
Then they get to New Orleans and they're immediately picked up by Mr. Big's people.
True, it's on the airfield. That's
Yes.
when that's when we get some of the worst action, I would say.
Oh yeah, when Bond commandeers the plane with the older
Mrs. Bell inside it. The elderly woman who just want like some training.
and Bond says, "Let's just wing it,"
Mhm.
and then she drives around with the plane.
Yeah. And the reason why this is a bad action sequence to me is because Bond doesn't really do anything. Like the bad guys just jump out of the way when the plane is approaching, and then
Yeah.
they just stop shooting him or chasing him. One guy in the car, the guy who's driving the car, who's following Bond, Bond
Mhm.
does absolutely nothing in the plane. Like nothing. And the guy in the car is like, I can't find the brakes. And he crashes. He literally says, I can't find the brakes.
I didn't catch that, but
It's, bizarre.
But he evades capture, meets up with Felix. Felix
Mhm.
has to talk to this lady's husband on the phone,
Yeah, because she was traumatized.
and they end up going to a bar. And Bond avoids the booth seat because he had a terrible spin in a booth. And then
Mhm.
just so Felix can go take a call, and Bond can be sucked under the floor.
Which happened in the book. That's the scene early on. But
Yes.
Felix was also in there. And we get a nice moment in the book with Felix.
Mhm.
Because while Bond is getting, questioned and tortured by Mr. Big, Felix is in another room,
Mhm.
also supposedly getting tortured. But
Mhm.
it turns out Felix talked to one of the black guys. And they talked about jazz music. And the black guy came to like Felix. And he was like, I don't really want to torture this guy. Like, he's cool. So he just knocks Felix out and throws him outside in front of a hospital or something. That was nice.
Yeah. But anyway, um, Solitaire is supposed to read the back of Bond. We haven't talked about Bond's watch.
Oh yeah, it got introduced early on in the scene with M.
Yeah, where it's like, I can't believe you. Well, first of all, Q's not in this movie.
No, he gets mentioned, and I think it was like a decision made by Broccoli to leave Q out of it for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. So
They,
anyway,
I think they just tried to make Roger's Bond a little bit different, which is why we probably didn't get a office scene in this.
yeah, it was peculiar.
Hmm.
But anyway, Q has repaired Bond's watch, which has a magnet in it, and It can drag. He can drag things with the magnet, which he uses to take off the Italian girl's dress.
Fun scene.
It's like such a light touch. He's like pure magnetism. It's just so many one-liners.
Yeah, almost all of Bond's dialogue in this is just one-liners.
And Bond gets his watch taken away by Teehee so that, first of all, Mr. Big unmasks himself to be.
Yeah, because we couldn't have guessed who it was behind
Yeah,
this shitty mask.
seriously. He rips his mask off. His awful, awful mask.
I mean, I like the effect when he just pulls on his nose and the thing just explodes like a balloon.
Yeah. He's just ripping it off and
Yeah.
throwing the wig off. And Bond won't admit that he had sex with Solitaire. That's pretty good. But yeah, Solitaire has to read the serial number on the back of the watch. And she doesn't do it. She does it completely incorrect. Which is a sad scene for our villain. It's like his best acting of the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe. He looks really like hurt and disappointed.
Yeah.
And then he slaps her.
He slaps her. Well, this is after Bond gets knocked down, dragged to the alligator.
Oh, yeah, the alligator farm, which
Yeah.
interesting behind the scenes. So Bond is captured. He's put on top of this little island in the middle of this, alligator farm.
Alligators
and they are approaching.
Yeah, and he runs across them.
Yes.
Which was an actual practical thing that someone did.
Yes, it was the guy who owned the alligator farm. And this guy who did the stunt and who owned the place, his name was Kananga.
Oh.
Which is why they named the villain Dr. Kananga.
Yeah, and he actually did this stunt over and over because he kept falling in.
Which you can see in the behind the scenes stuff.
It's
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, it gets referenced in Skyfall, of all films.
Yeah, because Daniel Craig's a huge fan of Live and Let Die. Which is so weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he escapes and he lights the heroin lab on fire. And I guess the alligator he lets in dies because it's a burned husk on the ground, but you never see that, which makes no sense. And he jumps into a boat, and this leads to a really long
really long boat chase. It's no joke. It must be like 10 to 15 minutes, if not longer. But of course, it had to be that long because it introduces us to the best character in the James Bond series.
I forgot he was introduced in this.
Yes, we get. Well, there was the proto sheriff in Diamonds in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but he was kind of competent.
Kind of. But here we get
stereotype.
Here we get Sheriff J.W. Pepper, the Jar Jar Binks of James Bond.
Oh God, he's so awful. He is like a hick stereotype.
Legitimately, I just watched the movie. I had to turn on subtitles for this guy at one point. I could not understand his dialect. It was.
He talks like this, and like just the most southern. Actually, spitting tobacco. He gets a boat through his car, so he commandeers another police car, and they're trying to chase all the henchmen who are chasing Bond.
Yeah.
They start,
and I mean, the boat chase itself is nice. Like, it's great fun. Stunt work and everything. Yeah. And there are some nice comedy moments, like when they are with the boat driving by this wedding that is taking place on an island or something.
Yeah. In the bayou. They're in the bayou. I should say that. Just the amount of times boats go over land, which they practically did.
Yeah.
It's an interesting chase, except for the J.W. Pepper and then his brother Billy Bob.
Oh, Billy Bob, who gets knocked out and his boat gets stolen by one of the bad guys. But
yeah, it's pretty good. But I will say some of my highlights: when Bond crashes his first boat into the yard of this family's house, and then the henchmen end up going too far and he gets stuck in the pool, and then Bond runs and steals another boat. That's a good one. But my personal highlight is when Bond grabs a can of gas and throws it on a dude's face after hitting his boat, so it spins around in circles, and then he smacks the boat so it goes up the ramp and blows up.
Yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
But again, intercut with J.W. Pepper, which we can't stress enough how
awful.
It is really Jar Jar Binks type of humor. Like, I think they put him in to be like, we are not racist. See, we have this stereotypical white character. Our hands are clean. And then they brought him back for the next one because he was a fan favorite character. He really was the key to all of this. Because he's a funnier character than we ever had before.
Oh God. But anyway, so we're getting to the climax of both the book and the movie here, which is going to, in the book, Jamaica, in the movie,
San Monique, the island.
San Monique. We need to discuss that Felix disagreed with something that ate him.
In the book, yeah.
In the book, they're at a little hotel, a little bungalow. Bond slips out for a bit. I can't remember what he's doing.
I don't either, but like, Felix takes action in his own hands and he goes investigating a place that is selling like fish. It's like in License to Kill, obviously. That scene was inspired by it. And they are smuggling. Yeah.
There's a firefight in there later.
Yeah, right.
But Solitaire gets kidnapped and Felix is fed to a shark.
By one of Mr. Big's henchmen. I don't think Mr. Big even knows that this happened. It was just the henchman alone doing it.
Yeah. And they leave him a bloody mess on the floor of the bungalow. The note that says he disagreed with something that ate him.
Yeah. One of your favorite lines.
It is one of my favorite lines. I use it on a regular basis. And this Bond starts training with Quarrel. I'm losing my voice. God damn.
which is a great chapter.
Yeah,
You should
when
read
Bond,
it. You should read it while listening to Eye of the Tiger. It's pretty
when,
much that sequence.
when Bond has to cut back to 5 cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
Is it 5? No. No,
10?
it's not. It's 10.
Yeah.
He's down to 5 cigarettes a day in John Gardner's License to Kill novel.
Mhm.
Either
Progress.
10 or 12. No, it's 12. It's 12. Because Bond smokes 3 packs a day. He smokes 30 cigarettes. Like 3 packs. Yeah, he smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's something that's brought up as he's a drunk and a chain smoker in the book. Because Fleming was a drunk and a chain smoker.
Yeah.
And so he scuba dives out to the place of operations, which is a very intense scene
In the book.
in the book.
Exactly. Because he finds this cave where Bloody Morgan hid his treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And there's now the base of Mr. Big and his henchmen.
Mm-hmm. But in the movie, Solitaire is going to be sacrificed in some sort of voodoo ritual.
Yeah.
And Bond is given a 44 Magnum with this humongous handgun. And he wastes the ammo. Just absolutely wastes it.
Mm-hmm. That's the scene when he shoots Baron Samedi in the head, right?
Yes, and
because that's one of the best scenes.
Yeah, the statue.
Yeah, he shoots him in the head. We actually see his head burst, and his eyes go up like, huh? What's going on? And then Bond shoots again and again, and the guy just falls apart. It's a statue. And that's pretty awesome. That's one of the best shots in here. Like,
and then he fights Baron Samedi and throws him right into a box of snakes.
Yeah, a coffin, actually.
A coffin of snakes.
And then he dies. Or did he?
Or did he? Exactly. And then they end up taking a little elevator into the base of operations.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from a grave, from a tombstone. And then we have we have the gun that makes things explode.
For some reason.
For some reason, it's not introduced ever.
No, he just says, I have this gun now. We use it on sharks.
In the book, Bond's captured like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're tied. He and Solitaire are tied up for like hours, just stuck in a room.
Yeah.
And then they're tied together and dragged with a boat.
Which is in For Your Eyes Only, the movie.
But done to the absolute extreme in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to get dragged over the coral reefs, so they're eaten by barracudas and sharks.
Yeah. And Bond's plan in the book is just trying to survive it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has planted a bomb on Mr. Big's ship, which is going to explode at a certain time.
Yeah, and it's a really intense scene. And then in the movie, Bond and Solitaire are tied to like a little like basket thing, and they're gonna get dunked in the water where there's sharks because Mr. Big cut Bond's arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead Whisper gets thrown. Well, first of all, Bond uses his watch as a saw.
Yeah, which didn't get introduced. Just the magnet. The magnet has a nice payoff. Yes. He tries it to escape from the alligator farm, but it fails, which is a nice little subverting of expectations.
And he uses it here to get the little cartridge from the gun that makes things blow up like the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then he uses it as a saw and he cuts through his ropes. And then he ends up throwing Whisper into like a weird coffin thing.
It looks like a rocket. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
But we never see Whisper again.
No. Maybe he's still alive. Maybe he got arrested.
Or he's suffocated.
That's probably more likely. Bond didn't care.
No, but I love when Yaphet Kotto shoots the couch and it just turns into a balloon. Well, whispers
Yeah,
off.
and then he falls off. And Yaphet Kotto, he's great in that scene because he's playing it differently than before. He's like very happy and like, Bond, welcome. And then he
Yeah.
just starts laughing when he shoots the gun at the couch. He's like, see how this works.
And then Bond and Kananga fall into the water. The Bond grabs him and puts the thing, makes him swallow the cartridge, and then he turns into a balloon.
Literally into a balloon.
And he blows up.
He crashes against the ceiling and explodes.
In a really sped up scene.
Yes. Which I think they directly zoom in
On his
on
face.
the balloon dummy.
Yeah.
Not a good decision.
No.
For such a cool villain, because it's Yaphet Kotto, but then you give him an ending like that.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, they all blow up in the boat.
No, Mr. Big, he's still alive.
Oh, that's right.
After the explosion.
Yeah,
and he's swimming towards Bond. And then he gets completely ripped apart by barracudas or sharks. And it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that was a wild scene. It's nasty.
I guess they could have done it like Kananga gets killed by the shark, which was supposed to kill Bond, but instead he explodes.
Which is pretty funny.
It is funny, definitely.
But then we got the train rides. Which in the book, the train ride is basically Bond's too tired to have sex with Solitaire, which is something we didn't bring up in the book. Is that they don't ever have sex.
Oh no, it's only implied at the very end
that they're going
that
to.
They might gonna have sex now. But
well, then it's implied later that they did in the later books.
Oh yeah, but only after the events of the book.
Yes, yeah, because I think in Dr. No, he looks back on Solitaire. I think it's Dr. No.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie, we have a fight with Teehee.
A train fight? Not as good as the one in From Russia with Love.
Although I will say Solitaire gets folded up in the bed, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what happened, which is dumb. But Bond basically takes some wire cutters that we didn't know he had, and he cuts his arm so like he can't open it. It just is permanently stuck shut. He's stuck to the door, and he throws it out the window so his mechanical arm rips out of the socket.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
And then we get Bond's getting Solitaire again, and then we get Baron Samedi.
Yeah, sitting in front of the train, which is the best shot in the movie, I would say.
Yes. And then Live and Let Die plays. Which we didn't even talk about that. That song's awesome. That's the most rowdy Bond song. I just want to punch everyone in the room. I just start getting into a fight and start throwing some Rodger Moore martial arts moves, which we need to talk about that real fast.
Okay.
It's so clear that we don't have Sean Connery anymore. Sean Connery could fight, but he just didn't have some good fight choreographers most of the time. I mean, he picked up a couch and you only live twice.
And threw it at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's granddad.
I think it's so funny. And then Rodger Moore's fighting when it does, his hand-to-hand fighting when it does happen is so bad.
Yeah, it was not his strong suit, definitely.
No,
it's always better when he tries to charm people, because that's his thing.
Yeah, and that we started to see that in this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not my favorite Bond, but it's one of my favorite Moore films.
Okay, I can see that.
It's It's one of the better ones, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
it
one-
is fun, definitely, and I think Moore gives a good performance. Again, great villains. Like even the
exactly.
not just the main villain and the henchman, even like the side guys working for him. The taxi driver is great.
Yes.
The black
Hey,
dude with
hey,
like this,
Jim. Calls him Jim.
and he has the great line about for $20 extra, I drive you to a Ku Klux Klan cookout.
Yes.
We have some great dialogue in here. That's
So bad, but it's so funny.
mhm.
But yeah, are you reading any Bond stuff right now? Well,
I
first of
think
all, what did you think of the? I just skipped over what you thought of both of these.
okay. The book, it's a great adventure story.
Yes.
Definitely in this reread, it really is like a classical adventure story and
Mhm.
drastically different to Casino Royale
Yes.
because we have a treasure, we have this bad guy with a ethnicity and like a beliefs that Bond doesn't understand. He has to,
Yes.
with all the voodoo stuff and the black stuff in New York and Harlem. Interesting stuff. Of course, the treasure and everything. So I like the book very much. The movie, it has great dialogue, it has good action,
Mhm.
but also some bad action. And I think the biggest problem I have with the movie is similar to Diamonds, it just looks cheap.
Yeah, it looks less cheap. It looks more expensive than Diamonds.
A bit more, definitely.
Because
But
Diamonds is an ugly movie, and this, it's clear that a lot of the money went to that boat chase.
yeah. And I mean, when it's ugly at points, it's definitely on purpose,
Mhm.
like in New York, which looks like an urban wasteland. The
Because it's
scene when
actually
they
filmed in Harlem.
make sense.
Yeah, it looks bad. It's a very poor area of New York. Like
It looks post apocalyptic. It really does.
that's before the riots that happened in the late 70s.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
a
So
weird one. It's very 70s.
mhm.
It,
Location wise, I would say it's good ish. I
mhm.
wouldn't call it good or great because some of it you can clearly see it's a set.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
you could
that's,
see that in some of the Connery films.
yeah. But in this one, it was more noticeable, I would say.
Yeah.
But you have great acting all around. I like Solitaire as the Bond girl.
Yeah,
Definitely.
she's pretty good.
We have a good Felix in this, who has
Yes.
good chemistry with Roger Moore, and of course he returns later on.
Yes. And yeah, I really enjoyed the book too. But
Mhm.
have you been reading any Bond stuff aside from License to Kill?
Aside from License to Kill, I was looking forward to reading the authorized biography book from the 60s by
Mm,
John Pearson. Problem is, I tried reading it on my Kindle thing because
mhm.
I have it as an ebook because it was cheaper and easier to get.
Yeah.
For some reason, doesn't work.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, same with License to Kill. Like the English books on my Kindle don't work for some reason, some technical error.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but if I don't get it to work, I have to find a physical copy of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna go into the John Gardner era again.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start getting into that soon, but I'm thinking I'm going to read those movie novelizations by Christopher Wood first.
We have to for this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, and soon.
Definitely. Spy Who Loved Me first. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's okay, then that's my next project. Reading
Yeah.
Spy Who Loved Me.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for I
Yeah.
almost said paper movies. Let's discuss.
In
Uh,
conclusion, great soundtrack. Even
oh
though
yeah,
it's not it isn't John Barry, right? He only came back then for Man with the Golden Gun.
yes, I'm pretty sure. I have this on vinyl.
Oh.
Yeah. They recently remastered and put it on 180 grain vinyl. It's just it's so good. Very
Mm.
funky, but I dig it. So anyway, that's our live
That
and
was
let
Live and Let's Discuss, Live and Let Die.
Yeah. All right. I hope you all have a good day. Join us next time as we jump into Man with the Golden Gun.
That's going to be interesting.
Yes. Anyway, have a good day.
Bye.